They say love is easy when it's right, but anyone who's actually been in it knows it's more of a beautiful, chaotic work in progress. Welcome to Totally in Love, the podcast where we skip the fairy tales and dive into the real, messy, and wonderful side of human connection.
Okay. Well, welcome back to another wonderful episode of Totally in Love. We are your co-hostesses with the mostest. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Anja.
And we have an amazing guest here, Mr. Brandon Crawford. And as you see, we have titled this A Man of Many Lives. So this is season 4, in case you don't know, but if you don't, where have you been? Season 4 is all about the men's and them. It is specifically the mental health and well-being of men and everything that relates to that. And as it relates to relationships and love as well. So we are so honored to have you, Brandon. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me.
So can you tell us who you are? You are a man of many lives. I've gotten a chance to kind of briefly talk to you off line here, but it is so fascinating to me, the many lives that you lead, like a maverick, if you will.
So I was originally born in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm 41. I feel like I have lived many lives because it's in how I've chosen to allow certain things to touch me. My biological father from the offset was not there. So that again becomes a factor in the beginning, overarching through everything, because he still is not in the picture. So that's one of those things that ties into a lot of this story.
That's your question. Do you know who he is?
Oh yes, absolutely. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can tell you the last thing he ever did for me. I remember it very, very keenly. The last time he ever did anything with me was when the first Space Jam came out.
1990 something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And he's always lived right down the road.
Mm.
He's never lived a distance away. I've always been within arm's reach of him, but the thing I will say is because of the wonderful person that my mother is, I've had some good males that have influenced me in my life as I've grown up. So I very much appreciate that aspect. And so with that missing piece, I had to choose. I knew I got to choose what influenced me for the most part. I knew I had that choice for a long time because I've always been somewhat of an individual. So if it's for me, it's for me. If it's not, it's not. And there's nothing wrong with it not being for me. It's just not for me.
Let me ask you a question. Because as we unpack the well-being of men, and you think about that at a young age, being very aware that someone is right down the road, but doesn't potentially want anything to do with me for whatever reason, did that cause you, it sounds like, to separate it from your emotions, like, and intellectualize it almost like, oh, okay, this is what it is. I'm going to choose something else for myself. What was that like, that experience? Emotionally, I guess I'm asking.
It never was anything that hit my self-worth. And I can say that with confidence. It's never something that hit my self-worth because, like I said, I've had other great choices that chose to influence me that were right there. Right. My grandfather, my stepfather, namely the main two.
And this is why I would ask that, because a lot of people don't have that level of, I would guess, maybe resilience, if you will. Some people don't do perhaps what you're doing. Like, okay, well, I have something that is fulfilling my needs. Yeah, nonetheless, some people kind of struggle with that. Would you agree?
Oh yes, absolutely. And it's all in the person and what, and I guess you would say what they would believe, and how, and I guess how sound their integrity is. And that's not from a moralistic standpoint, but literally what other things are holding them together. As I said offline, I was surrounded by a whole bunch of siblings, both blood and non blood, and a whole bunch of cousins that we were all pretty much the same age. It was three and three. It was nine of us,
Mm-hmm.
and we are very proud of the connection that we have with each other, for all its strengths and all its weaknesses.
I love that.
We Our saying is, you don't mess with us kids, don't mess with their kids. Hmm.
Was that something that you felt your mother and the other gentleman you mentioned like instilled in you? Like, be proud of what connections family has, regardless, like you said, good, bad, and ugly, we still rocking with each other.
um we had, and we 80s babies, we had certain levels of freedom. And again, so at times we lived in certain distances of each other, where we could just go see each other, ride our bike, or walk around a corner or something like that. Or we done spent the night. Just, that's something. Yes, their connection forced us to be together for whatever reasons, whatever they had going on. My mom, she was good for throwing a red light party. She
So
was
it
good.
sounds like it was community, it was union, because even though you may not have a choice in being with cousins and siblings, let's agree, let's understand, like,
Oh yeah.
sometimes we don't always get along, and it's like, oh, I can't stand that one, and I'm jealous of this one. But it sounds like y'all had just a good camaraderie regardless.
Now, with other things that occurred, um, certain dynamics did get strained because of mishandling of everyone that was involved in certain things that transpired.
Got a little messy. We'll
Yes.
come back to that, but I do
Yes.
want to keep riding this train for a minute, if y'all don't mind.
Yeah.
With the evolution of you, because you got a strong foundation, it sounds like, minus the dad, the absentee father, which is unfortunately a common thread in a lot of Black families. You were able to like excel in a lot of things, it sounded like. So tell us some of those things, those accolades, the things that you've done so far in life.
Well, I don't. I've been able to succeed in a way that I feel was for me. Um, I don't know where this was born from. This, as you said, just this maverick kind of a thing. But it was certain things that would occur in my life that I would see things and I would just be like, okay, well, that don't make no sense. Like, for example, I always said, if I go to a higher level of education, it's going to be paid for by the government in some kind of way. And don't get me wrong, I wasn't scheming by any means. Everything I got, I deserved. Um, but I never fought the path I was on. Um, Whatever came my way, I accepted it, and I never pointed the finger for the things that I brought on myself. So that allowed me to take ownership of my life and my story and the things and how they formed me. Um,
I want to just say something real quick, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but that is so powerful because what it is self responsibility. The word Kuji came to my mind. That's self determination within the Kwanzaa principles, but self responsibility. And I feel like I've had this conversation with Nicole not too long ago where I was like, it could all be so simple if everybody just kind of like stopped fighting the inner them on a lot of
yep.
things and just kind of flowed. That says a lot because then that shows the Lord that you are willing to receive your path and not trying to go in the path that other people may have for you, the path that other
Hmm.
people say you should have, the path that is not for you. And in the Jewish community, I know that everybody has a purpose. Like even the mechanic is
Yep.
supposed to be the mechanic. Because
Yep.
everybody's gonna need a mechanic and they're gonna go to the mechanic. Like the doctor is the doctor. That is just that self-responsibility that you said. It sounds like it was extremely mature. That's it.
And the thing is, and I'll say I wasn't always at this degree. Now, I did have accountability on some things, but not all things. Some things I did run away from, but they were things that mostly hurt me that I was running away from.
Mm-hmm.
When it came to my responsibility to the things that I've done to other people, I'll always be willing to take that, or how it may have affected someone. I'll always be willing to take that, because I also know what it feels like for someone not to take accountability for how they have affected me. So I try to live not in the things that I lacked, but in the ways that I would like to see presented out in the world. Because sometimes when we operate from a place of lack, we impart certain things by force on others that we really shouldn't. Like, for example, when a person has not had the life of comfort where they didn't have to worry about their lights being cut off, or, water being shut off, or getting put out of their house. And then they grow up and they start to start to gain, and they have children, and then they want to give their children these things, and they just start pouring all this stuff onto them.
Mm-hmm.
But the child, it doesn't mean anything to them. Why? Because, okay, so for example, you buy your kids some Jordans. They don't really care too much for them, because we know what's up with Jordan. We got the vibe on Jordan.
Right.
They vibe is on Kobe, LeBron, Westbrook, all them people from the 2000s on. So why should I get mad at my child for not appreciating these Jordans when they don't hold the same value as these do? Because that's where their mind is at, and that's where they hold their values. So just being mindful of people's values and the things that have affected them in their life allows me to make sure I'm careful, because of certain things that occurred in my life. It made me very hyper vigilant.
Yeah, that's the word I was thinking too. Yes, and I want to unpack that, but I would definitely want to get back to this trip. So Leslie, I'm gonna call him out so you can talk to me about him. So you are a man that has served in the United States Army, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the accolades, you're honorably discharged.
Yes.
What else do we? You are a trained expert and a masseuse.
Yes.
Many things.
I grew up working at a skating rink where I learned how to move people with music.
DJ,
skate life. Oh yeah, if you've never been a part of skate life is probably one of the purest vibes you will ever feel in your life. I don't care how a person looks physically, if they go out on that skate floor and they can move, instantly somebody's eyes are locked on them instantly. Oh yeah. But I also was thanks to my stepfather, I've a professional dog trainer. My family actually still has a school and a daycare here in the Birmingham area. I'm a classically trained barber, trained carpenter, and massage therapist.
That's right.
A Renaissance man. Okay.
Oh yeah, I feel well. Also, that's that Scorpio in me. I like keeping my money, so I feel like the more skills I have, the more money I can keep in
When is your birthday?
The 16th of November.
I'm the 6th.
All right. But part of that one is if I can do it, that saves me money from having to pay somebody else to do it, or that allows me to pay out where I need to pay out at, because my wife would tell anybody, I'm not a plumber and I'm not an electrician.
Okay.
So I know my limits and I don't go messing with it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also an influence from my mother and my grandmother. They've always held many trades. My grandmother, at one period in my life, she ran a mental health group home from inside of her house. She took care of special needs foster children. She ran a daycare, and that was it. She did all those three things at the same time. One floor, she had the group home patients.
Mm-hmm.
She ran a daycare in her basement or on the main floor from time to time, and the special needs child usually had their own room in another section of the house. And before she did all that, she was a night nurse in a prior life. That was before I was born, but I know all of these things she did from the time I was born up until she couldn't no more. Her and my so watching her do, like, my grandma had that house so locked up in business that she bought the house across the street just to have a getaway.
Wow.
Oh, yeah,
baby. We are entrepreneurs, Renaissance women. We are all the things. I can say the same about, and I'm sure Anja as well, about her grandmother and mother, and yeah, on both sides, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
and then just to interact, I appreciate your story so far, and you really paying homage and honor to what I think Anja spoke about. Maybe it was off camera, but the generational blessings that you've really been walking in, to be honest, and that you just accepted, whether it was on a subconscious level or conscious level or not, you just kind of accepted it and have walked in those things. And so that's really refreshing when you start thinking about mental health and well-being, even despite traumas, because we do want to unpack some of the trauma as well and how you navigated that and how you may still be navigating it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I can give you step by step from jump. As I alluded to earlier, the dynamics of their relationship prior to that kicked off some of it. But it really started as there was a fire.
Okay.
My brother had accidentally set our childhood home on fire, and I can remember this day very vividly. My mother had just went to the grocery store and spent probably about $200-300 worth of food. And if you think back in the 90s, spending that much, that car was filled to the brim.
Yeah.
And I remember coming down the hill and just seeing all the sirens and lights and all the smoke, and just seeing my brother just standing on the outside of the apartment, just covered in soot, because he tried to run back in and tamp it down, but it wasn't. Them was concrete walls. That fire was everywhere.
What was he doing?
He was cooking on the stove, and he had left out of the house to walk someone a distance away, and he had slipped his mind, and he came back and it was a blaze.
Wow. Okay.
But after that, that's where a lot of the disagreements and dysfunction kind of started to rise up, and where a lot of the trauma started to really kind of set in for myself. My mother became very distant after that. And I also we got transplanted out into a suburb of Ohio called Blue Ash. And I attended this school called Sycamore. And I encountered very, very heavy racism there. And And I've spoken to my mother about all of this, and I have to say that to myself, honestly, because I have to be okay with speaking about it, because y'all are honestly the first people that I've openly talked to about this outside of family.
Thank you for that.
So, and for her, my mother had us very young. My mother had all three of us by the time she was 20. She had my sister very young, and that itself incurred her own trauma based on the reactions of.
When you said very young, what was that?
Huh?
What was the age?
My mother had my sister 16, 17. Somewhere between, I believe it was 16. And then my brother came along. She was born in 80. My brother came along in 82, and then I came along in 84. Me and my brother are a year and 11 months apart. Now, this is where that is important, that space in between there, because this is where things kind of occurred that why my father wasn't in the picture. He got another person pregnant and my half sister was born earlier in the year from me, and she was born in May, I was born in November.
Okay.
And that wasn't something my mother could manage. I don't know what exactly were the understandings of their split, but they split sometime either before my birth or after my birth.
Okay.
But of my recollection, he's never been there in the household while I've been alive.
Yeah.
And he never was. So that in itself, and then so going forward back to the fire, that caused her to be very distant, because she was still very much at that point. If I was 13, 14, she was 34. Not young, but still, you got my older sister was just out of the house going to Ohio State. And it was me and my brother left. She was still helping out with my younger brothers, step brothers, for the sake of the conversation.
Uh-huh.
And that's where she just kind of trailed off, and of course she took care of the house, made sure the bills was paid and all that thing. But in her stress, she checked out.
But do you feel like it was maybe, like you said, an escape? It sounds like one from the trauma that y'all have just experienced, and then maybe being that now the children are kind of age to care for themselves. I still want to live out, because she was a teenager when she had you, so wanting to live out some of that, something that she didn't have when she was having babies.
Well, this is me personally. Like I said, she was young, but she wasn't that young. She was at least 34.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do have understanding and grace for.
No, I'm just asking. What do you think? You think that's a thing?
It's very much could be possibility. I mean, actually, I do know for a fact that was a thing. Yeah. Unfortunately, but because going to that high school, it was majority Caucasian people.
Yeah.
And I dealt with a lot of, excuse me. Mm-hmm. I dealt with a lot of racism going there. Yeah. And I tried to tell her that I was having issues there, and it was like she thought I was trying to go behind my brother to get to this other school that he was at, that my cousins was going to as well, but that wasn't the case. I was dealing with some racial issues at this school. Mm-hmm. And so it got to the point where I felt she wasn't listening. So there was a point where, because I was getting followed home by these kids in their cars, getting stuff thrown at me, spat at.
Wow.
Them trying to fight.
Mental health and well-being. This was wow.
Hello, that's what I'm saying. Wow.
But this is the thing. It was a certain point where I feel, if it's a certain point where I feel like you don't care, I'm not going to say anything anymore, and I'm going to take care of it myself. I've always done most of my dirt by myself. So when it came to dealing with certain things, my brother was older. He would work. He would steal the car when she would get picked up by her boyfriend sometimes, and he would go riding out through the night, whatever the case may be. So I was there by myself, and the thing is this line of trauma, this stuff that occurred with my stepfather and all these things. No one ever asked me, was I okay? How I was doing. No one ever put me in therapy. I never got checked on for that. And I know that for a fact. I can remember that. I know where I was sitting at when I had that thought, and just about how old I was.
Do you feel like that played a role in you actually now being a therapist, so to speak? Because a body worker is very much like, of course, not with the licensure. We have to make sure we're very careful. We're not calling ourselves doctors when we're not really doctors. But the manipulation that you guys do within the body, knowing that the body keeps score, do you think that all of this stuff from your upbringing has played a part in you now being a body therapist?
Yes and no. The reason why I say it is I was not brought to this because of this awareness of it aligning with my life. The reason why I became a therapist is because right after I graduated from barbering and hairstyling school, and this lends back to my statement of not fighting what's put in front of me. Right after I graduated from barbering and hairstyling school, I had came home from work one day, and my wife, she had been on her feet, I think, most of the day, and she had her feet hurt. And I said, "Well, here, let me rub your feet." And I started rubbing her feet. And she looked at me, she was like, "I know you just got done with school for being a barber and, hairstylist or whatnot, but how would you feel about going to school to be a massage therapist?" And I said, "I'm not doing anything right now. I could go do it." And that was really my attitude. It's just picking up another skill, another way to make money, another way to help the people around me. That's just the nature of me. I don't do a lot of things for money. And in that aspect, it has always come to me. I've always been taken care of, and I've always done it honestly. I don't have to scam nobody. I don't have to cheat nobody. I don't have to lie to nobody. What you get right here in front of you is always going to be what you get behind closed doors. When I talk to this person over here, when I talk to that person over here, and they talk to each other, they're going to have the same story about Brandon when you meet him, because it's not me trying to make sure me portraying an image. Is I need you to understand this is who I am. And so a lot of that stuff did mold me, and her disappearing in the way that she did affect me. Yeah. And I was very much aware that it was affecting me. But again, like I said, I'm very much willing to take things into my own hands and not wait for somebody else to do it for me. So
pause for one moment though, because I want to honor that pain point. It did affect you.
Mm-hmm. It did.
So? And how
because it made me feel alone. It made me feel not listened to, because I would speak about these things, these issues that I'm having. And if I feel like, and that's where I developed the shell. Well, if you don't care, I can deal with it myself.
Right.
That's a very much a shell I do have. I don't utilize it often because I have a very strong support system around me. and getting like that will make me super defensive and reactive in a different type of way. So I utilize who I do have around me, and it's never always just the people that's immediately around me, because sometimes my wife is going through her own things. So I have to utilize my best friend sometimes. And if my best friend going through something, sometimes I have to utilize my other friends.
Community.
You know, and this is the thing. I'm, like I said, and she said, I'm polyamorous. I have people in my life that, for whatever reason, respect and regard me for who I am, and have put me in a place of their life of respect and regard in a way that they feel safe coming loose around me. And so that's something for me that I have always cherished and held very close to me, and I protect and I guard that. So never ever would, like you said, I am a massage therapist. Never ever will you hear I have crossed a line with anybody. Never ever will you hear that I have done something out of the way, out of specs. My wife even know it. I won't even do anything sexual with her.
So my question with that, because polyamory, first of all, how long have you been poly?
Let's define it for some people. What are
Yes.
you defining? Can you say that for the people?
Polyamory is just the relationship, or the lifestyle of engaging in loving relationships with those around you, to the degree of whatever it is you have set forth, as long as you discuss those boundaries with whoever you are dealing with. It's about communication, it's about understanding, it's about openness, and it's about being accountable. Absolutely.
How long have you been in the lifestyle?
Woo, how old am I? I'm 41. 20 years.
Oh wow. Okay.
We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary this year, and I've been with my partner Dominique for 8 of those years. So
Okay.
Ebony is my wife, and Dominique is my partner.
Okay.
And they very much are sister wives. They do not sexually engage with each other or anything like that. But as far as child rearing and traveling and things like that, we do our own thing. Like, they'll travel together on their own, we'll travel together, whatever the case may be, or we'll all go together.
And did they have their own individual, also other relationships? Like Dominique, does she have a relationship?
She did. She does not right now. And my wife does. She actually has a boyfriend, and don't quote me on how many years they've been together. I believe it's 3.
And do you have the same relationship with the boyfriend? No. You know how you said they're sister wives. Are you a brother?
Oh, that's my bro. And it's definitely just bro relationship. It's nothing to that higher degree. Outside of that, like we talk to each other about what we gonna do on the grill. Like, we'll see something on the thing, and we'll be like, all right, let everybody know we about to get on the grill. And everybody that's in our community that knows us, they'll show up, either bring a plate, whatever the case may be, and we out there with the music and the kids or whoever, and everybody just enjoying. And
so I have a question. Why did you marry Ebony? Why marriage instead of just like girlfriend?
Because she created a space for me to feel safe. Mm-hmm. One of the things that in my life, in my many brushes with death, because that's also something that also causes you to mature very fast. I've had some very close brushes with death, pre-teen, as a teenager, and my last one was as an adult at 29. Sorry. But I married her because when she found me was at my most broken, and she created a space for me to feel safe. Was she perfect? No, but the thing that she gives me that I ask of anyone that's around me is she had asked me when we were getting ready to get married, what's the one thing, what's something that you want from me? What you want? What do you want from this relationship? I said, I just want you to grow as a person. I don't want you to grow in the way that I want you to grow. I don't want you to grow in the way that you think somebody else wants you to. I want you to grow as a person, as you. I want you to become the full you. And that's what she gives me. She grows as her own person in her own way, not by the force of my hand. Mm-hmm. It's through her. She learns from me. She learns from things that go on around her. She grows from the dynamics. She learns from seeing me and how I am interpersonally. So she gives me exactly what I needed from her, which is to see her become more than who she was.
But why marriage?
That's what I was thinking too. Like she seems like she had a lot. You probably felt seen, heard, valued. But what tipped it over to I'm willing to make a covenant and spend eternity with you, if you will, if that's the way you subscribe to marriage?
She cooked me a meal.
But why marriage?
She cooked me a meal. Okay. Yeah. See, that's the thing. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be complicated. Y'all see it yourself. I'm very aware of certain things. And like I said, when she met me at literally at my most broken. I don't know if you are aware, but I got my last accident. I got into a car accident while I was in the military, and I suffered a traumatic brain injury, and that left me with PTSD and some very bad bouts of short-term memory loss. And a couple of those episodes left me institutionalized. And okay. coming from that.
What meal did she cook you?
She cooked me a steak. She cooked me. It was some. It might have been mashed potatoes or a baked potato, and it was broccoli with this very good cheese all over it. Very simple. Very simple. But one of the ways to talk to me is through food, because that's how I talk to people. That's like I just told y'all, I was just out there on the grill. That's how one of the ways I show my love is through what I do in the kitchen.
But you were going into, and it's so on point, the mental health, well-being, your trauma, and you said your last, like when you were going into your experiences of like having memory loss. What was it that she was doing, walking you through that? Oh, you were in and out of the institutions, you were saying, for a minute, right?
She gave me that. She gave me that space. I met her on the tail end of my marriage and her marriage. Like the day before my car accident, me and my ex-wife had literally just agreed to get divorced. And that was after some very strenuous and tumultuous things that occurred in our marriage. Some due to me, some due to her, some due to just circumstance, out of our control. Because that pocket of my life in itself was a very strong learning experience as well. And it's a crazy story, because there is such a intertwining aspects of it that some of them double back on themselves, and you have to relook at them from this point and go back to that point and bring it together for it to make sense. And she found me at that point where I couldn't remember any of that. Who I was who I was in that hospital was not who I was supposed to be. I was, in my mind, 4 to 5 years younger than I was supposed to be. I had forgotten that my kids was even born. I had forgotten I was married. The wife that I was divorcing from was in my mind my girlfriend, and we hadn't even been married yet.
Wow.
I had called her multiple times from the hospital apologizing for the same thing, and she had to keep reminding me, do you know how many times you done called me?
Wow.
You don't have, like, you're okay. You're okay. Even still to this day, I still do it sometimes. But again, Ebony created that space for me to filter through all of that. I had to put myself back together. Like when she found me, I was up for days at a time, to the point of it affecting my health because I couldn't sleep. We met in a group, funny enough, and we hit it off because
like a chat group, a dating group type thing.
It was a Facebook group, one of the adult groups that they had from about 2000. What was that? 2013, 13ish, yeah. And that was more of a Wild West thing on Facebook back then, so you was bound to see anything at the time then. But even to my particularness about engaging in sex is what brought me to her. My mindfulness about the responsibility of sex brought me to her.
So you knew you wanted this woman in your life for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. She had already, before we had even gotten a relationship, she had given me a space for understanding, because there were times, because of my memory, I was very inconsistent. And she could tell you herself, she had her friends would tell her, like, girl, don't get too involved with him because you already see how he is. But them not understanding, I'm having memory losses. If you're not consistent in my life, I will forget your face very, very fast.
Right.
Yeah, I will forget very, very fast. And that wasn't always the case. I could put a face to a name and a lot of stuff very quick prior to this accident. But
I do have a question though. And this is, a lot of people experience loving again so differently, right? And especially when the first person that you love, woman, kind of lets you down, kind of breaks your heart in some ways, which is really what you explained with your mom, how she was gone in a time that was traumatic for you.
Oh, it was way more than that.
Well, you're putting it nicely, but to say that, what gives you the courage to love again, especially when you did get married, it sounds like, got divorced, and here we are again. I know you said you're at your lowest moment, but that sounds very scary.
Well, and I guess you being a Scorpio can attest to this. Sometimes the darkness isn't scary. The darkness doesn't have to be scary. Sometimes death doesn't have to be scary. My wife has a saying that she says, to being with me, and it's not necessarily me, but being in a relationship and to succeed, you have to die every day. You have to, and that's ego death, because she's coming from her own trauma. I'm coming from trauma.
Yeah.
She has children that have developed their own trauma. She has to protect them in their own way from certain things, inconsistency, disappointment, So again, her being that person that could grow in the midst of all of that and come out the other side a better person for herself, where all of her relationships flourish. Because who I have around me, I do feel speaks volumes of who I am as a person. And it is a reflection. how I desired her and why I desired her in the beginning is not the same as it is now, because in that broken place that she found me in, I was able to go through those pieces as those memories came back as I went through therapy, as just time went on and stuff just pops up. Um, she allowed me to piece myself back together and allowed me that shift necessary to become the person who I needed to be for myself and not living in my trauma, because through some aspects as well, and it's the reason why some of this relationship lasted, because you cling in some places where you shouldn't, and there are reasons for that. Sometimes it's fear, sometimes it's abandonment issues, which that was in my case. But as I grew and I healed and I got stronger, I was able to grow and be more and be better for her so that she can grow and be and heal and be stronger. And it's a step stool, and it's a progression. Not every, you don't rise together. It's a joint effort, yes, but everybody don't rise at the same time together. And that's something she has always done with me and for me and with me. And that's why after 2 years, I was able to say that I was ready to marry her. And funny enough, the crazy thing is in the midst of all of that, I found out, and this was on me and my ex-wife, found out that I wasn't even divorced after getting engaged.
Wow.
So having to even take the accountability to go and explain to her, hey, I'm not really divorced. And she like, having to go through those motions of, well, has he been lying to me? Because again, she comes from her own trauma.
Yes.
And it's certain things you have to be mindful of. So thankfully, and one thing about my ex-wife that I can say about her, she taught me what standing on accountability really looks like. Good or bad or indecisive, she's going to take accountability for the things that she has done, and she's not going to put it off on nobody. And that was something refreshing for me coming from a woman, because I hadn't experienced that up until that point from a woman.
Yeah.
Mother, or other girlfriends that I had up until then. In between, I had not experienced that level of accountability. Even if she did do certain things that did hurt me, she was still accountable enough to say, yes, I did that. And it was never a but behind it.
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
What were some, I guess, major milestones? Well, you shared these pain points and trauma experiences, but I'm saying, even in those, can you identify and share with our audience, like, where did you see God in those experiences? And what was that experience like for you?
I saw God in the relationship of my grandparents. First love, well, first and only marriage. Because my grandfather, he was a little bit of a slickster when he was younger. But first love, yeah, he saw my grandmother and he wanted her. And when she told him, like, well, hey, you got to wait till I go back to Virginia and graduate, and then I come back. And if you see me again and we hit it off, then we'll see. And sure enough, they hit it off, and they showed me what it means to grow in a relationship. all of my uncles and my aunts, and my mother as well, have all been married and divorced. They were the one consistent relationship that I saw my entire life from birth all the way up until my grandfather passed in 2021. He passed at 91. They had been married since they were in their, I believe it was their late teens, early 20s. And he died when he was 91. And my grandfather was an alcoholic at a certain point. I do know from stories after he passed that they did have their disagreements and tussles, but going through and learning about family history and hearing about stories of their upbringing, this goes back to family curses. With my mother's side of the family, my great grandfather, my grandfather's father, my mother's father's father, he was very much a criminal in a lot of different ways. And I know he probably was physically violent with my grandfather's mother, where they ended up divorced very early on. And it was to the point where they didn't even really talk about him. And then going over here to my grandmother's side, with my grandmother, she dealt with abuse from her mother. I'm like to the point where she was locked away in rooms and closets sometimes. So things I observed from my grandparents, I understood once I got older and I got the full story. And this is why it's important for us to tell our story and take hold of our story and give it to our kids, because you don't want them having to figure where some of your behaviors came from that you haven't explained, that they have told you about. So one thing I make sure I do with my kids, I make sure I always keep that door open to make sure that they can tell me, because my two don't live here with me in Birmingham. They live with their mothers in Cincinnati, Ohio. And this is by no means a benchmark, but even me living here, I knew that they may cause some things for them internally, me not being there. So every time I pick them up, we have a discussion. Hey, I know I don't live there. Does that cause any issues with you internally, personally, mentally, in any kind of way that you feel you need to talk to me about? Because I need to know what effect the decisions I'm making have on you. And then they'll tell me. And for the most part, my kids, outside of me not being there, they enjoy traveling the roads, coming down, seeing different places, seeing different art, seeing our people in mass. Because Ohio, Cincinnati is, for the majority part, Caucasian. And a lot of people that are in charge and place up there are Caucasian for the most part. And so coming down here to the South, seeing our people in full, just seeing all the different variations and emanations of us. They enjoy that. They enjoy the different type of weather, all those things.
Yeah. It's powerful that you do check in with them. And
well, that goes back to what I lacked for myself. Correct. That check-in that was so important for me that I knew I never got when those hard things were going on. Right. Because again, it was to the point where I was carrying a gun on me. To school and from school, but never in school. Let me say that. And this is why it's important to you. Huh?
How did you do that? Did you check the gun at the door? Like, what did you do?
They had bushes. And
Okay.
and a lot of them people up there was naive. I was in the suburbs.
Gotcha.
Don't get me wrong. I grew up in a nice part of a neighborhood, but that neighborhood still had rough areas. And I went to school in the rough areas. I still saw certain things. I still saw, or the daycare I went to down in the downtown area, I still saw crack pipes and heroin needles on the ground outside the playground.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I still remember that. I saw those things, you know. So it's very important for me to be mindful of what's going on in here and in here with my kids, because I need to know where I need to either check myself or I need to interject myself as best I can, because they are yet and still their own people, and they're going to do things their way whenever they feel they need to, because they are my kids.
We have time for, we have really enjoyed you. We have time for maybe one or two questions. I do have my own question. Can you explain to our audience, because we were talking, just so you know, Brandon is amazing masseuse. I think that's the title. He is great. And so I had the experience, and we were talking about armoring, like, because we were just talking about so many things in my session, but I thought that was such a powerful conversation because, of course, my background as a counselor, and connecting, like I think even Anja was talking about, just how your body on so many levels speaks. And so could you speak to, you know, even how you came into the understanding of armoring and what that's all about?
So armoring, as I came to understand it through studying massage therapy, is when psychosomatic energy gets thrown into certain muscles in the body. So what will happen is you go through a high stress situation, or you're a person of high anxiety in general, and what you'll do is your stress will go into a certain part of your body, and left unchecked, it can actually develop to a point where it starts to get wound up and hard, to the point where your skin as well kind of becomes tight and leathery and unmovable. The muscles and the skin have interlocked to the point where they're grinding, where the skin should be moving over your muscle like this. So what can happen is, and this is something that as to the reason why therapists have to take some psychology when working on these areas or encountering these areas, as we work them, they can cause a release of emotion, or they can cause emotions or thoughts to occur in the mind that may be associated with the energy that's been put in that place, i.e., physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, whatever can be attributed to it. For example, someone being touched in their lower back reacting like this might be because they dealt with somebody in their life for a long period of time that they didn't quite like, that would approach them and touch them in that way. So now that area of their back is prepared to reject that engagement at all times now. So now that association up here with down here causes this to react in a adverse way, so to speak. Whereas, like, it can't decipher the difference between, okay, this is my dad touching me here, trying to get my attention, versus this is that person who did this thing to me. So us as therapists, we have to be prepared to engage with people who have dealt with some kind of trauma, abuse, or just they hold psychologically some kind of adherence to a belief about something about their body. Because also body dysmorphia can play a big part in armoring as well. If somebody doesn't like a certain part of their body, that area of their body can become more sensitive because they hold it a certain way, because they guard it a certain way, or because they don't address it at all. So again, us as therapists, when we engage with those areas, there's a chance for an emotional release to occur. I.e., it could be crying, it could be anger, it can be fear, it could be anxiety, it could be anything. But that comes from that. And we as therapists have to learn how to engage with those emotions and talk people off of that ledge. I have come across that twice in since I've been practicing as a therapist. One woman, she had a fear of African American males due to abuse that occurred in her life, and she was African American as well herself. And she happened to get tied up with me because her therapist had canceled, and she was really having issues with her back. Now, one thing for me that I pride myself on is making myself relatable to the point where I can get almost anyone comfortable with me enough to let me in, enough. And when I deal with those people who have that high anxiety, those emotional releases, or that controlling nature about their minds, that they try to protect everything around them, I explain everything that I do. And I can do that because I know everything that I do to your body. I know what it's going to cause based on whatever issue you're dealing with. I know the pain you're going to feel to a certain degree. I know where it's going to pull. I know where it's going to let go. And I know you're going to feel a release. My job is to, one, get you to trust me while you go through that emotion and that feeling and allow me to talk you down. And two, for you to let that psychological energy go so that I can get that muscle to let go to relieve that pain or that tension.
Oh, that's good. And I wanted to, because when you were talking, I just heard muscle memory. And so essentially releasing that and being able to retrain the thinking.
Yes, it would actually retrain it will actually help. Yep, it will help retrain your nervous system.
Yes. I find it so fascinating.
Yeah, I wanted him to speak to, even as we're going somewhere, because we're going somewhere with this whole conversation, this particular part, as we prepare for July 18th, and you're coming to do a service for our men. What's the importance of men participating in something like this, as far as self-care, as far as receiving the therapy, all the things you just mentioned?
You are not exempt. You are not exempt from needing a tune-up. And that's really the basis of it all. For people who look at it like this exotic thing that you can only indulge in from time to time, it's not. It is literally some of the only things that are preventative as far as healthcare, because a lot of things that we deal with and that we help in the body system helps mitigate other issues from occurring. For example, a person with high anxiety can cause themselves neurological issues like fibromyalgia or something like that, because that energy builds up in your nervous system, and eventually you can cause, it's just like an electrical system, you can fry it. So in that regard, coming in, seeing me, getting massages allows you to relax your nervous system. That's so good. That you don't end up with other issues or muscular issues, joint issues, because your tendons are tight. And also, as a man, don't take this as a vulnerable. It's not a vulnerable position that you're putting.
It doesn't have.
It's not sexual either. Don't associate feeling good with feeling good, because it's not the same. This is something that therapists are doing to fix you, to make sure that you can rotate, make sure it helps you engage with whatever you're doing more efficiently and more effectively without injuring yourself. So if you're a truck driver and your shoulder messed up and it's your driving arm, go in and get a massage for your whole shoulder. If you are an officer and you riding around all day and wearing that heavy belt on your hip, that extra weight on your hip causes issues with your glutes and your lower back.
Yeah.
You know, go in and get a massage on your glutes. Go get a massage on your lower back because it's all connected. All of it has to be worked on. Don't leave anything out if you can't help it. You
and
know.
I'm going to say too, fight the pain. I literally had this happen to me yesterday. When I tell you it was so painful as she was going back there, I wanted to cry, but I knew that there would be brighter on the other side, especially as I continue to go back to her. So that points to the commitment of self-care. And that's one thing that I know that I've heard from you, a running theme within this whole time that we've been talking to you, is that you are committed. Committed over here, committed over there, committed over there. So relational.
Yeah, yep. And there's many ways.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be committed to it, just as you are committed to that job. Like, I have some people come in and say, I wish I could get in here to see you more, but work and this and that. And I tell them, like, hey, listen. Why you missed me one day? It's because I took off work because I needed to take a break.
Right.
I said that job will be there, and if it's not there, another one will be there, and if that one ain't there, another one will be there. If you want to do this for as long as you want to do it comfortably, take care of yourself first. I don't care how much of a mom you have to be. I don't care how much of a manager you have to be. I don't care how much of an associate you have to be. I don't care how much of an entrepreneur you have to be, baker, lawyer, social worker, teacher. I don't care how much you have to do it. You can't do it if your body isn't allowed to do it. If you have to be up on your feet, that means you need your feet massaged and your legs massaged and your lower back. If you sit all day, that means you need your hips around the front and the back, your glutes, your lower back, your abs. You need all of that worked on. You need your chest. If you type all day, if you drive all day, you need your chest worked on. So your neck so you won't get cervical issues in your neck. So your posture can correct. Yes, it is very important to be consistent, because if you want to do whatever it is you want to do, your body has to be able to do it. And again, this is one of the few things that is preventative in that regard.
Yes.
Also, the other ways that it helps is fluid retention. If you find that you have a lot of fluid on you, it helps push fluid out. If you're trying to, it helps in recovery. If you work out with muscle recovery, it pushes out the lactic acid and all the muscle junk off of your muscles. It helps your muscles to relax and recover. Anything you need, there's some aspect of massage that can address it.
I love how you said, and I wish I knew the statistics on how many people actually, they probably are not aware of it, operate in their sympathetic nervous system, and that's not really the one that we're supposed to be operating. It's on that high level anxiety, constant stress, which is not good for our system. But I love how you just connected that to the ability to put that at ease and kind of reset that. And that's many of us, and don't even know it, including men, are operating that way and need to be we need that type of regulation. And so, such a valuable conversation.
I do. And that's the thing with men, it's tricky getting them onto the table because of social norms, beliefs, and bad relationship with touch, and not understanding does not equate to sexual. So what I have to do is I have to work on y'all to the point of perfection, so that y'all say, you know what, I'm gonna drag my husband in here. And as soon as y'all drag him in here and y'all make him get on that table, and that's what I do. I implore y'all to force them on that table, because regardless if we kicking and screaming, we're going to walk in there with our head down, uncomfortable, and still do it because y'all told us to. Because especially with us black men, y'all know y'all run the house. Quit playing. Y'all know y'all run the house. Quit playing. we in that regard, when it comes to certain things, when it comes to having to care for ourselves, y'all run the house. So please utilize your power.
We are utilizing our power, our favor, all of the things, the grace that we have, and we want to invite our men out on July 18th as we partner with Curtis Cannon, a part of Man Cave. Brandon will be there. His team will be there. So please take advantage of that opportunity. It is a no-cost event. We need you to just register ASAP. That information is available on all of our social media websites. So shameless plug. But yes, we've enjoyed you, Anja.
It's been a pleasure.
Party.
It's been a pleasure.
Yes.
And I'll talk anytime y'all have a subject that y'all want to talk about, I'll be glad to join and talk about it.
Thank you. Yes, you are a ball of energy and a ball of spunk.
Wealth of knowledge as well. Yes.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, you guys. So until next time, thank you so much for joining us. But until next time, make sure you stay
in love.
Totally in love.
Totally in love. Yes.
Bye.
Bye.